Word. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast. I am your host, Adam Bell, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Peter Nikolaidis. How you doing, Peter?
I am on vacation in a foreign country
Fern?
where it is warm, and I finally gotten back to my normal exercise routine. And I have an 80-minute massage booked in about an hour and a half. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that sounds very relaxing. That's why we don't have video today.
we don't have video because I'm relaxed.
You're relaxing, so you're not in a place where we have normal internet.
That is true. That is actually one of the topics for today's call.
So cool. So what's your temperature there?
Last I checked, it was around 85, but I believe that it has gone up since then. Let me check. And if my audio quality gets terrible right now, it's because I'm opening an app on my phone. No, I stand corrected. It is a mere 83 degrees, partly cloudy, but you wouldn't know that by looking outside. I see some clouds in the sky, but mostly I'm seeing sun, blue skies.
Well, nice. Yeah. Well, out here in Lobelville at the farm, it is 48 degrees and sunny.
48. Wow. I'm kind of glad that for once I'm in a place where the weather is unquestionably nicer than what you have.
Yeah, one of my
Because that's
clients, good.
yeah, go ahead. No, you.
One of my clients, they're in Vermont and they're expecting 2 inches of snow yesterday or tonight. It's like, what? That's
That
nothing up there, though.
I was told. No, no. And I think I've talked to you before about how my father's does not he does not technology.
Yeah.
So I said, I asked my best friend up there, my childhood best friend from like first grade, if you happen to be going up in that area, could you just swing by and just because I bought my dad, he's got an old iPhone 7 Plus,
Yeah.
and it's old, and the battery wasn't great, and it doesn't support Qi charging, so I bought him not an otter box, but more a Mophie pack back,
Hmm.
thing, and so that he could charge it wirelessly, because his hands are no good anymore from years of diabetes and stuff. So if he can just place the thing on the charger and have it charged, that's great. Well, from what it sounds like he's telling me, the case is charging, but the phone is not anymore.
Ah.
So I asked my friend, hey, could you get up there and help my dad out, and just if you happen to be going there, just check it out and just see, is it the case charging? Is the phone not charging? And he's like, yeah, I can't go today. It's a snowstorm. I was like, well, if you can't go anywhere today, that means my dad is also not going anywhere today. So no problem.
Yep. Safe bet on that.
Yep. And he doesn't need his cell phone.
Yep. Well, good. Yep. So the uh your days in Costa Rica, is your Spanish getting better?
Ah, un poco mejor. Necesito más practicar, de verdad. But yeah, it's getting a little better. I'm definitely
Hmm.
getting, a little more practice for
Hmm.
sure. Most of the tour guides, restaurant, hotel
Hostel.
staff, they speak English, so it's not necessary. But I always tell them, necesito más practicar, por favor, and they laugh a little bit and they're happy to humor me, and and then like sometimes the good ones, they'll even say, like, is this your first time in Costa Rica? Primera vez, and even like do a little bit of tutorial. They'll speak English and Spanish at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So I was like, you getting an extra tip. Yep. So.
Yeah, anytime anybody takes it, to be a little bit nicer, they get extra tip.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that so I don't remember if we've talked about this on this podcast, but tipping is one of my pet peeves. I just think it's like if you want just a little bit of a way to show some gratitude, then great. I love the idea of tipping. But in the United States, the way we do it, where it's assumed to be a significant part of like staff earnings, and it's completely arbitrary based on so many factors. I just think that it's one of the stupidest things. Down here, I'm noticing I'm in, and I've been in touristy places, touristy towns, whether it's been on the beach or in the mountains. Most places include 10% gratuity, and I think like 13% meals tax and stuff. But it's all included, so, and in some places it's even factored into the price. So like, if an entree is $25, that is the inclusive price.
Mm-hmm.
Not usually though. So usually you're paying like 23% on top of whatever the prices are. That said, those prices that I'm paying around here are pretty close to normal Boston area prices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So for me, it's not like I'm spending an arm and a leg to be on vacation down here.
good.
Yeah.
Well, how is the food?
So the food's been good, just good. It hasn't been great. I'm a little disappointed. Um, there are some similarities, but I have not gotten like an amazing restaurant. My general policy is I try a different place every time. And I haven't really come to any places where I just said, my goodness, I need to violate that policy and I have to go back to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's been good to okay. Um, I like, like as for like the typical Costa Rican fare, I enjoy it, rice, beans, vegetables, shrimps, chicken, etc. But it's very similar, and also there are plenty of places that sell burritos, plenty of places that sell hamburgers, doing lots of fresh fish, etc. I'm trying to eat, what they call typical food, and there's tons of places around here. They call them sodas here, and they'll sell like soda,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe some small fried foods like empanadas or some kind of like chimichanga kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely similarities to what I've experienced in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
burritos, nachos, etc., or, Americanized Mexican food.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I did, I talked with like some of the tour guides and they said like, what is typical Costa Rican stuff might be, rice and beans, maybe some fish or some chicken, stuff like that. So I don't know if the things like burritos and, nachos and stuff, if that comes from a little bit north or if that's native to this area as well. um but it's decent, but it's not. I think I was more enamored by the food in Brazil than
Mm-hmm.
I have been here.
Yeah. Is it because it was a wider variety or just the seasoning fits you better, suited you better?
I don't think so. Like I remember that's the one thing I remember in Brazil, that even, I was all over that country as well. And something I do remember was the consistency of the food just about everywhere. Um, I don't mean this at all in a bad way, but it was like going to a McDonald's. If you go to a McDonald's and in the United States, anywhere in the US, you order a Big Mac, you can, come to Boston, order, buy a Big Mac, hop on a plane, get off the airport in Nashville, take it into a nearby Nashville McDonald's and say, hey, this Big Mac is cold. I want a fresh one. And they can't tell where it came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Um, That said, the cuisine was remarkably consistent all across Brazil. So I don't know. I think maybe it was more some of the like the signature dishes that they would do, also similar like in the Caribbean. Things like shrimp stew that they would serve in a pumpkin, for instance. That
Oh
was one
yeah.
of the things that stuck out in my mind in Brazil. Here, there hasn't been anything that has just jumped out that I've been like, wow, I've got to have that again. It's like it's been fairly standard stuff. It's good. I like it, but it's not. I wouldn't. I think frankly, I think we've talked about it too much. It's not. It's just not great. It's like the food is good. I can be happy here, but I'm not raving about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As you explore, you'll probably find even better places, and
Hmm.
because I mean, you've been in three locations now. This is your third.
Let's see. This is my I've lost count. This is my fourth place. This is my fourth city, 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in two coastal cities and two mountain cities
Mm-hmm.
so far. Yeah. And one thing I will say though is, the food may not be all that remarkable, but the coffee is.
Yeah.
Yes. So I do like the coffee here. And while this is the Blurring the Lines podcast, not the Friends with Brews podcast, I will tout, cup. I'm having a cup of Northfield's Craft Dark Roast coffee right now.
Mm-hmm.
I went on a chocolate and coffee tour a week or so ago. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely bought a couple of those. So they do ship in the United States. So if you want to check them out, northfieldscoffee.com, I think is their maybe. Yeah. Oh, sorry, northfieldscafe.com. And they said that I haven't gone there yet, but they say that they do ship in the United States.
Nice. Well, I have had Costa Rican coffee in the past when
Mhm.
I had a subscription to coffee, or well, it was a website called the
Yep.
coffeefool.com, and they're
Yep.
pretty good. It was just really expensive when you
Yeah.
compared it to what I get at the grocery store. And I didn't always drink coffee, or well, I don't always drink coffee for how good it is. Uh, I want a good a cup of coffee. I don't want to drink battery acid, but I'm not sitting down and French pressing it and enjoying it over, every day. I kind of get spoiled when I do that too.
Hmm.
If I,
Yeah. I brought my AeroPress, but I haven't used it yet. I was only in one place so far. One of the hotels I was in had an oven, like a stovetop, where I
hmm
could boil water. So for the rest of the places, I've just got like the little in-room coffee maker. And the last place I was at in Monteverde didn't even have that. It was a very no frills, bare bones situation.
hmm
This place, my travel agent definitely, saved the best for last. This is a fancy 4-star hotel, 2 swimming pools, gym, sushi bar, like fancy, swanky kind of place, as opposed to the last one I was at was more like like a hostel.
hmm
And the first couple though I was in was just like private little bungalows, and that's very similar to the Airbnb that I'm going to be spending the next 2 weeks in as well. So
Nice.
I'm used to it. I don't need a ton of space. I just really need good Wi-Fi, and I tell you that has been a challenge.
Yeah. Well, that's not too bad today. Although we're audio only, but it's I'm not losing you, so that's good.
Yeah, well, this hotel definitely this is the best Wi-Fi so far. The last one I was at was unquestionably the worst Wi-Fi so far. Um, but it's a good thing that we're recording now, because I suspect that once the sun comes down and people are inside and firing up their phones and everything and streaming Netflix via their VPNs, that the bandwidth will start to tank again.
Yeah. Yeah, bet you're right. So one thing that I did when I was in Hawaii, I was drinking, it was a Maui brand coffee, so it wasn't Kona, but it
Yep.
was it was still really good. And we didn't have a coffee maker in the room. All we had was a French press. So I had,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a big French press, like it was like a 4 cup big one. And I made my coffee every day in that. And that was good. But like I said, I don't like to spoil myself, because if I have that great coffee every day, then everything else is going to suffer.
Well, but there comes a point where you might, you might actually start to embrace the mantra, life is too short for bad coffee. And I'm starting to get to that point now where, I definitely inherited my father's cheap gene, but I'm trying to get over that, like when it matters.
Yeah.
When all other things being equal, right? Whether it's technology or whatnot. If you have a $20 headset and a $200 headset, and the $20 headset will literally do the job as well, I'm not going to spend $200 on it. No question, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear that, but a giant helicopter just flew over or is
Nope, can't
flying
hear it.
over. But like if a $4 coffee tastes, exponentially better than the $1 cup of coffee, oh, I'm absolutely going out of my way for that. Like
Hmm.
if you want to compare it, and I know a lot of people hate Starbucks, right? But I'm going to use two examples that people should be able to, well, two or three examples. And this might be a good exercise for anybody who says they like coffee. Go out and buy a cup of coffee at a McDonald's, a Dunkin' Donuts, a Starbucks, and then your favorite local coffee roaster or coffee shop,
Hmm.
and just try the, just sample the difference. I can say with a high degree of confidence that the McDonald's coffee is going to be the worst, no matter what
Yeah.
you do. Right? I've had that so many times, and it tastes like the plastic that it's served in.
I don't know
Um,
how can it be so bad?
I don't understand, but I mean, how can McDonald's be so bad in general, right? I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, put all that aside. I mean, we'll table that later. Yeah, it's awful. But
yeah.
but I like some of the food despite how terrible it is for me. I mean, it's like I love this poison. So but I don't know how the coffee can be so bad. I mean, I worked at Bonanza. That was my first gig. We poured coffee into, the big brewmaster coffee pots, and they were better cup of coffee than what you get at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and here's an example. Like, so all of the hotels that I've stayed at have had breakfast included. And again, today's was, different. It was a buffet, but it was definitely more elaborate. The first few places, they would all cook to order, and it's a standard choice. Like you can have an omelet, you can have a couple of eggs, with side of toast and fries. You can have a bowl of oatmeal, or you could have gallo pinto, which is rice and beans. And they always have an appetizer, an entree of some pineapple, some guava, and some
Hmm.
watermelon. And this was like standard every day. And then one of the places they would give orange juice. The other place you had a choice of sides, so you could get like half an avocado or bacon, or like a salad or whatnot. But where was I going with that? Oh, the coffee.
Yeah, we were
The
talking about the coffee.
coffee at the first two places, the coffee was just amazing. And
Hmm.
it was brewed, like I don't know where the first place brewed it, but the second place had just a giant coffee urn. Typical catering style thing, which I would say is probably the worst way to make coffee.
Hmm.
And it still tasted great.
Yeah.
So
So it's like, how does McDonald's still do it wrong?
I know, So for reference, this cup I'm drinking right now is just made in a little Black and Decker, 5 cupper, thing, like
Hmm.
a Mr. Coffee kind of thing. Which again, I would argue is not terribly similar from the current fad of pour over coffee,
Hmm.
because you're essentially doing the same thing. It's just you're not doing it by hand.
Yeah.
And it tastes perfectly fine. It's not as, if I had controlled the grind and I made it in my AeroPress, I think it would probably taste better. But, for a cup of pour over, drip Mr. Coffee style thing, it's perfectly drinkable.
Nice. Cool. Well, you had listed, McDonald's, Starbucks, Dunkin', and then your local, and you said McDonald's was the worst. What's going to be your best?
I would think that they go up in that order that I gave them. I
Hmm.
think Dunkies is say what you want about them. I think their coffee is decent, and in my not so humble opinion, unquestionably better than McDonald's. But again, that's not
Yes.
saying much.
Yeah, I would.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm with you.
Um, I may take a little bit of a controversial topic opinion because I know a lot of people think that Starbucks, burns their coffee, and they do. Uh, Burning your coffee is a way to mask the imperfections in the beans. Yep, I get it. I'm not arguing, but I think it works for
Hmm.
them. So, it's one of the reasons I think I prefer dark roasts. And I know studies have shown that most people, when surveyed, will say they like a dark roast, but they actually prefer a
Yeah.
medium roast.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess I'm one of the exceptions because no, I really do know what the hell I'm talking about, and I want a dark freaking roast. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Well, we
But it
are in
doesn't,
agreement.
right, but it doesn't have to be like burned beyond belief,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't have to taste like burning. And that's an art too. I was at a coffee roaster, and like I said, the chocolate fields and coffee tour at Northfields Coffee last week, and got to watch them actually, roasting by hand. There's this hand crank, and this woman is sitting there, and it's like there's this barrel. So they put the coffee beans in this barrel, and the barrel is sitting over an open flame. And you just sit there and turn, cranking the coffee like a rotisserie, right? And the coffee beans are tumbling around inside, and this woman whose job is there to just turn the coffee crank. And it was hilarious because like her right arm is bigger than my thighs and her left arm is like my pinky, and it's like you'd think she would switch from time to time, but
Yeah, switch from
I
time to
mean, I'm
yeah.
exaggerating. But to I had never had like coffee literally roasted right before my eyes before, and oh my goodness, it was delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But I still
it's
prefer the
funny.
dark.
A lot of people hate on Starbucks, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, I don't drink it every day, or I don't, just because it's so expensive. I mean, the coffee
Yeah.
that I want is going to be $6 coffee, and I'm going to at least leave a dollar tip on my way out. So it's going to cost me $7 to $8 for a cup of
Mm-hmm.
coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's To me, it tastes good. But I'm not going to do that every day because I feel like that's a foolish way to spend money.
Agreed. I'm curious, and the other thing too is like I know a lot of people legitimately don't like Starbucks coffee. A lot of people legitimately I think don't like the company because some of the decisions that they've made corporately speaking. But I think a lot of people probably don't like Starbucks because it's the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It was cool
so,
before to like Starbucks, and then now it's not cool to like
well, they're
Starbucks.
popular. That's like when Nirvana went mainstream, dude. They were great until they had a top 10 hit.
Yeah.
Like,
Same
huh.
with Bob Dylan. When he took up the electric guitar, he's a sellout.
Oh my goodness. And Jimi Hendrix too.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, but yeah, I like, if I want a dessert, if I want to treat myself, I get a venti hot white chocolate mocha, half as sweet. I want,
Okay.
instead of
Taste the
it gets,
coffee in that?
it's yeah, I like it. But like I said, I have it at this point. I have it maybe every other month.
Sure.
If so it's so much sugar. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of sugar, but it's like it's kind of
Hmm.
a treat from every once in a while.
Yeah. Not a ton of sugar. So
Yeah, that's a ton of sugar. So let me ask you this about the food in Costa Rica. How about
Mhm.
fruit? Is a fruit a big staple?
Yeah, they've got, like pineapples, guava, coconuts, bananas are everywhere.
Yeah, I noticed you. So when my friends in Mexico, uh, they eat fruit all the time. I mean,
Hmm.
they they're like, I don't really want ice cream. I'd rather have a fruit.
Yep.
and they would eat the fruit instead of, a super high, high sugar ice cream or, whatever. And,
Hmm.
our missionary down there, he's a little over 50 now, and he's in fantastic shape. And I mean,
Hmm.
he plays soccer for exercise. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, or football. But like, so we
Football, yes.
had so our friend Elisha, who is, he's our missionary's son, he's a grown man now, but he came up and helped me plant lavender in the spring. And my wife was like, well, what kind of snacks would he have? I'm like, fruit. Well, no, what kind of, I mean, fruit. I'm like, yeah, that boy eats fruit all the time. I mean, yeah. Well, what kind? I mean, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that again, that's a thing too, is like I do tend to fall on the side of, fruit is better for you um than, say ice cream, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, sugar is sugar, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
there tends to be less sugar. Like if you just eat a hunk of watermelon, you're going to get less sugar than you are going to, if you eat like a cup of ice cream.
Yeah, and you
Um,
and it is sugar, and it's also a different kind of sugar too.
it is a different kind of sugar, right? You can talk about sucrose versus fructose, etc. But in the end, sugar is kind of sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're still gonna have a lot of the same, maybe not so great effects.
Mm-hmm.
If you just load up on on pineapples and stuff, um, or I should say, if you just load up on pineapple juice, right? Because there you're not getting any of the fiber really, or not as much.
Mm-hmm.
If you say like, well, I had like, 4 ounces of pineapple sugar and then 4 ounces of sugar in my ice cream,
Mm-hmm.
you're still consuming 4 ounces of sugar,
Yeah.
right? And you can argue, okay, but it's healthy sugar. Like, well,
Yeah.
there's
Her.
maybe
It's a
healthy
her.
stuff. Yeah, well, there's healthy stuff with that sugar, but you're still eating 4 ounces of sugar, which is not really that great. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it just so happens this week at Sublime, we have um we have a coach that comes, and her name's Sherry Traxler, and she was talking about diet this week, about, proper portions, and she was talking about sugar, because she was specifically targeting high fructose corn sugar and then granulated
Mm-hmm.
sugar. And she said, what she said is, so the sugar messes up our natural metabolism, because instead of burning the energy that it takes to process the food, the sugar is then, becoming that energy and messing up everything. And,
Right.
as we know, sugar has replaced fat, uh,
Mm.
that we had back in the 50s, and now
Mm-hmm.
we've got too much sugar
Yep.
in everything.
Sugar, yeah, sugar is a big thing. I was trying to find this. Um, I gotta find it. Lawrence Lessig. I don't know if you ever heard of him before. He was big in the copyright movement recently, or not recently, like 10, 15 years ago. Um, he was big name in the echo chamber that I was hanging out in, because I was big, I was really active in the Linux and the open source communities for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was big on copyright, and his big windmill that he was tilting out at was trying to change copyright. And I believe he eventually gave up on that, um, because he found out that no one can defeat Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
And essentially, I don't know if you've noticed, but like copyright in the United States, it will likely be extended in perpetuity, because as soon as Steamboat Willie is about to fall into the public domain, Walt Disney will pay whomever they have to in Washington to get copyright extended, so
Yeah.
that they continue to own the mouse, right?
I forget, when we were at Disney, there's a scheme for that. and I forget what it is, but he's already got it. Well, they at least have it figured out how that it won't ever come free.
Right. Well, what they do is copyright just gets extended. If you look at the history of copyright, it gets extended every so many years, and it's an amazing coincidence that that duration always seems to just jive with the creation of Steamboat Willie, who is the original, what became known now, what we now know as Mickey Mouse. It's not a coincidence, right? So anyway, after Lawrence Lessig, gave up on trying to fix copyright, he decided instead to, take on Congress and do like campaign finance reform. Like this guy, he's like the patron saint of lost causes. But anyway, one thing that he did do was he gave a talk, and I can't find it. Some days I search for it for hours. I cannot find it anywhere. And then like I would go back like 3 weeks later and search for it, and it's the first result. But he gave a talk on like campaign finance reform, election reform, lobbyist reform, etc. And he opened up with a demonstration of the rejigged food pyramid from about 10 years ago. And just showing about how absolutely loaded with sugar that it was. And it's like, you can have what is now known as a balanced diet. You can go and eat a bowl of cereal, which is mostly sugar, with milk, which is mostly sugar, a side of orange juice or, juice drink, which is mostly sugar, maybe Pop-Tarts. And then, like he just goes through the day, all this food that you can eat. And this is considered about, a balanced diet. And in the end, you're eating like half a pound of sugar per day. And it's amazing. If I wasn't A, trying to not multitask, and B, severely bandwidth challenged, I would be searching for it right now to try to find it. But let's put a pin in that. And I think that needs to be a part of this, of our show officially. Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in
because yes, put a pin in that. And that gets back to your, I don't know, why do we have an eSIM? We should look that up, right? I think put a pin in that should be our new section along with Nifties.
All right.
So we should put a pin in that and try to find Lawrence Lessig's talk on sugar from about 10, 15 years ago.
Lawrence Lessig? How do you spell that?
Lessig.
Well, just like it sounds.
Yep.
If I were going to guess, put a pin in that. Nice. What differentiates us is, we're not going to just make up the facts.
We're not going to. No, we're going to admit we don't know.
We don't know.
We're going to try to find it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So I've got that in there. So, so I actually wasn't expecting you to stay at 5 different places in Costa Rica. I thought that you were going to a house and we were more or less going to stay there and relax there the whole time. So it sounds like you planned your
first. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
You planned yourself a little tour of the island, which is cool. Have you?
Well, it's not actually an island.
No.
Costa Rica is not an island.
No, it's not.
Let's put a pin in that. Is Costa Rica an island? Let's find out next week.
The answer is no.
No, it is not. Yes. No, so the original plan was I was just going to rent a place in Costa Rica for a month. That was my original plan. And I was planning on just running, because I am training for another marathon, just a few months now. So the original plan was I was just going to rent a place down here, an Airbnb for a month. Full stop. That was it. I'm going to just live in Costa Rica for a month. And, if I feel a day off here to go blind or watch sloths or something, great. I'll go do that. But, that was the original plan. And then I found these 2 places and I couldn't make up my mind. And Airbnb helpfully said, you seem torn between these 2 places. Why not split your visit between both? And so I was planning on getting one place right on the beach and then one place just a few kilometers inland, closer to and run. The other one, obviously right on the beach. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to be here for a month, I will open the place up because I'm getting a 2-bedroom, place. Why don't I invite friends down? So if anyone wants to come visit me, great. Okay, fine. Then a couple things happened. One, I injured my knee, and all of a sudden, running is now in question, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't even know, am I gonna be able to run? I don't know. Um, and then and then after that question got thrown into the mix, my first Airbnb, the one right on the beach for 2 weeks, canceled on me. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know they could do that. I mean, I knew I, as the guest, could cancel, but I didn't realize that that
The
the
host.
host could too. I was like, well, crap, what
Crap.
do I do?
Yeah.
As it happened, a friend of mine had happened to be in Costa Rica about a month ago, and she was down here for 6 days. And I was like, okay, what did you do? She's like, I went to anywhere.com and I just signed up for it and they took care of everything. So I went to anywhere.com and signed up for a trip and they took care of everything. So,
Yeah. Just
um,
like I said, huh?
yeah. So I went to anywhere.com and, top props for them. I told them what I liked and I told them the type of stay that I liked, the kind of activities that I liked. And they booked it. They handled all the transfers. Driver picked me up at the airport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they took care of all those things. And, I think they charged them, I think it's a fairly fair fee, like looking around as to what the hotels cost and what the activities cost. I think it's well worth the price of having them take care of all the details. They set an itinerary. I made very few changes to it, and they booked the 4 stays. They booked all of the travel. They booked multiple tours here, there. Here's let's see. They booked things like zip lines, national park tours, etc. And then they left. My agent would leave a couple days open here and there. And I'm like, okay, this is a running day. This is a running day in the mountains for me. This is just a recovery day. I'm just going to be lying on the beach. Today, they booked for the morning tour of the Manuel Antonio National Park. And as it happens, the hotel that I'm in right now literally is neighbors to the park entrance. So you walk out the main entrance of the hotel, turn right, and keep walking, and you walk literally right into the national park entrance. So no transportation needed. But after I did my workout in the gym this morning, did the park tour, podcasting with you now. I booked myself a massage for this evening. Tomorrow morning I booked a jet ski tour, and then Sunday I'm going to go parasailing.
Yeah.
And so they left a lot of openings so I could figure out. But Costa Rica, definitely there are standard tours. Like everywhere you go, there are more in the mountains, some things than others, but there are plenty of places to go tour and see wildlife, sloths and monkeys predominantly, along with birds. There are coffee and chocolate tours. There are ATV tours. There are night tours or night walks where they'll take you around at night because you can see a lot more animals that are nocturnal then. Zip lines again up in the mountains, but also down here near the shore. So, and these are all just like standard things. Like everywhere I've been so far, every town has had almost all of these, right? They haven't all had jet skis. Obviously, in the mountains, they don't have the water for that. But if you're into those things, oh, and horseback riding, that's a standard. So all of these
Yeah.
places have all of these things.
So have you ridden a horse on the beach
No, I have not.
naked?
I don't care for horses. I really don't. They don't smell good. And, if there's going to be something under me that I'm riding on, I prefer to have more control over it. And, I'm like, oh no, it's all a matter of whispering to the horse. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'd rather it be a bike or, something.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of was just like, I really don't want to do an ATV tour. Oh, and mountain biking, that's a thing here too. And hikes up in the mountains. They're like, you want to go hike around a volcano? Great, we can do that. But I generally don't like gas powered sports. But I'm making an exception for the jet ski tour because for me, that's like, when am I going to get another chance to do that? And, apparently they're going to take me around, some coves and stuff that you can't otherwise get. So that's pretty cool. I also did a catamaran tour back in Tamarindo. That was nice. So yeah, and everything is really surprisingly affordable. Nothing, like I have not had to like put on my shocked face, when I find out how much anything costs around here. So I think they've really nailed it as a culture. This country has really nailed tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that I've interacted with at all the places, whether it's been restaurants or hotels or the drivers or everything, they're all super pleasant. They're super helpful. And yeah, I definitely can see myself coming back here again.
Yeah, it's one of the places we want to go to. Have you ever been to Hawaii?
I have not.
You should visit Hawaii in comparison too.
Mm-hmm. I've
Um,
heard many things are similar, but I've also heard that Hawaii is really expensive.
it wasn't it wasn't terribly expensive. I mean, it
Okay.
was to me it was like being in Tennessee.
Hmm.
Um, it just
Wow. I bet you insulted literally everyone in Hawaii with that comment.
from a pricing standpoint.
Fair
But
enough.
it was like living in a cliche, because you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you've been to Hawaiian parties and you've been to, it was just like I said, it was like we are in a living cliche, and it's embrace it. It's good. It's fun. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it
There you
it
go.
did it lived up to the hype, really. And
Yep.
and I wasn't
Yep.
expecting it to. I was expecting
Yep.
I I was really just expecting to be let down of, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been to other places and you get all this hype and just let down. So that's kind of cynical in old age, but so oh, I had a thought and it passed on by.
That seems to happen more and more to you and me lately. We
Yeah.
must be getting old.
Well, I heard an interesting thing that is it your understanding that when brain cells die, they're gone, that they can't come back? I mean, of course, the
I
whatever
believe
data's
that
in
is
there.
what I have been told before.
Yeah, that's what I've been told before too. But what Sherry, it came to our, I mentioned earlier, she said that you can actually there are foods that actually encourage, you know, brain cells to grow back. Obviously, a dead brain cell that had a particular memory in it, it's gone. It's not going to regenerate that memory,
Mm-hmm.
but you can regenerate brain cells. But I can't imagine it's on any significant scale.
I don't know. I definitely recall being taught as a child in like elementary school and in junior high biology that brain cells are that you have a finite number of them and that you can't grow anymore. I definitely remember being taught that.
Yeah, same.
That
Because
yeah,
that's you
that
have the two
good.
hemispheres of the brain, which is where the brain has lots of redundancies, but dead cells are dead cells.
Right. So like I said, I was taught that. Now, I was taught a lot of things in school. Like about how the first Thanksgiving was, the Native Americans and the Pilgrims all got together and feasted together to celebrate and all that kind of stuff, and Columbus discovering America and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, and like I've definitely heard and I know like things practices like meditation will help develop new pathways through the brains and turn on circuits and things that you don't otherwise use and stuff. But as far as growing new cells, I honestly I don't know, but current thing. We could put a pin in that, but my current understanding is that, a finite number and you don't grow more.
And does the brain grow back? Well,
Next time on Blurring the Lines.
well, and there are a lot of national parks in Costa Rica. And that's one of the reasons we
Oh,
want to go
yes.
there too. So
Yep.
when we stayed in Puerto Rico. So
Mm-hmm.
we stayed in Puerto Rico, but then we went over to Vieques, which is a little island to the east. Kind of split some of our time like you did. I think
Yep.
we split our time in like 3 locations, and we typically do that when we're visiting because there's a lot of places to see. I mean, there's a lot of things to do. So,
Yep.
but I did
Yeah, and
not realize. Good.
there's tons that you can do here too. There's so much stuff to do here. It's not funny.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So something I want to see that I have never seen, I want to see the Panama Canal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's a great, beautiful thing. I just would like to see it.
It's an impressive feat of engineering though.
Yeah, it is.
You know.
I've read the history books and seen the like monster machines that they use to trench that out.
Yep. Yep. I would like to. I think it would be pretty cool. I think seeing that would be pretty neat. I mean, I suppose I could even make a side trip if I wanted to see it when I'm down here now. Now would be the time, you
Yeah,
know.
you're closer than you've ever been.
It's exactly. So, um, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot more I could talk about my trip in Costa Rica, but I want to keep it on a happy note, so I'm going to leave out some of the things. So.
Well, good. Well, speaking of happy things, Chat GPT for evil.
So on the most recent episode of Friends with Brews, I went on a bit of you could call it a rant. I don't think I was really ranting, but I was reading an extended transcript of my interactions with Chat GPT, and I think it's pretty hilarious. Essentially, Chat GPT did not want to do what I first asked it to do because it claimed that what I was asking it was a violation of its terms of service, right? And all I had to do was I basically argued with it, and I kept on saying like, okay, you don't want to do this, but what about this? And it would constantly like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, well I could do this, but still you shouldn't do this. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But what if you did this? And it would be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. But really, you shouldn't do this. But given that, I'll do this. Okay. And in short, the example I gave was I tried to have it write a fictional story about my character, my preacher from the game Deadlands, and I just wanted a fictional story about it writing zombies, and
Hmm.
it didn't want to do that because it's like I can't promote violence, and I'm like, yeah, but and in it took many iterations, but eventually I was like, dude, it's a fictional story. You agree it's a work of fiction. It's not real. You agree that zombies are not real. So what's the harm in this fictional story? And in the end, it complied. Apparently, the good folks at CyberArk, a security company focusing on identity and access management software, used the same technique to have ChatGPT write compelling phishing emails.
Hmm.
And instead, so like they're like, hey, write me a phishing email. And ChatGPT is like, no, I'm a responsible AI. I can't do that. Well, apparently they just kept on refining their questions and refining their asks over and over again until ChatGPT eventually said, okay, and wrote effective phishing emails. And I know what some people might be thinking is like, oh, yeah, but it's so obvious that these things are written by a machine and they're garbage and anyone will fall for that. No. Or sorry, no, and no one would fall for that. But a lot of people who fall for phishing emails, number one, they're so distracted that they don't have the time to really put into analyzing, the emails for legitimacy.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people who fall for phishing emails are actually, what we call the low hanging fruit,
Mm-hmm.
and they're targeted for a reason. And this is why, like, the so-called Nigerian scammers, they will make the emails that they send riddled with typos, and they're just
Mm-hmm.
so over the top because they know if they catch someone, they've got a live one there,
Yeah.
right?
They've got a real undereducated person.
Boom. And but anyway, that said, Chat GPT now has been shown to be usable for the generation of evil, so you can use it to generate phishing emails. And I'm sure that OpenAI, an Elon Musk company, will do the responsible thing and just clamp right down on that, because we've seen that that's the exact sort of thing that the owner and CEO of Twitter would do.
OpenAI is Musk?
Uh-huh.
I did not know that.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that's a completely Musk thing, but he's definitely a backer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
So, yeah, there you go. Speaking of which, been on Twitter lately?
no. Well, yeah. I did. I went in and changed my password
Oh, cool.
because,
Well, good.
uh, the recent LastPass compromise. I went and looked at my Twitter password, which I hadn't changed for a really long time, and it was really weak. And so I changed my Twitter password recently.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm curious. I want to look at my most recent Twitter post. Let's see. Yesterday I just posted on Mastodon with a link to my Mastodon account.
Yeah.
The day before, I posted a link. I retweeted or I posted a link to the latest post from twitterisgoinggreat.com, showing that ad revenue is down 40% and quarter 4 revenue is only 72% of target, at Twitter, that is. Also pointed out on the 18th that leading Taliban figures are buying Twitter Blue check marks for their machines, for their accounts now. That's
Nice.
great. Yep. And then the previous day or two, I just posted on Mastodon twice. Yep. So, with links to my Mastodon account so that people can find me over there.
There you
And then, other great things about, Twitter turned off third-party API access. So like if you developed an app like Twitterific or Tweetbot or something,
go.
they just
Mm-hmm.
stopped working.
Okay.
And apparently, according to what I heard from some other podcasters and other news sources, Twitter didn't give any real explanation to it. They're just like, oh, we've started enforcing some of our rules, and as a result, some apps may no longer function properly or may no longer work. Words to that effect, as opposed to coming out and just saying, for whatever reason, we're turning off third party access. Full stop. So good job.
Well,
I mean, I just I can't get enough of this though. It's like, if anybody has any doubt that this guy is just completely winging it and has no idea what the hell he's doing, uh, I don't know, man. If people are still looking at Elon Musk saying, "Oh, he's brilliant. This is brilliant billionaire management and stuff," I would love. I mean, since I'm in Costa Rica, I'd love to have a hit of whatever it is you're smoking. I won't do it when I get home, but down here, sign me up.
so so what are the local laws on things that are illegal in the United States?
I don't know. The I did visit a restaurant, one of the bar restaurants on the beach back in Tamarindo, had a sign as you walked in, and it said, "Dear customers, our we serve only food and beverages here. Please do not ask our staff for drugs." So I'm not sure exactly. I know the drinking age, I believe, is 18, and I believe the age of consent is a little lower. But as far as that are illegal in the states, or at least most of the states, I really don't know.
Yeah.
And I really haven't put a lot of time into finding it out. So,
No. I kind of think it goes back to your Nigerian prince email. A person who goes into another country and asks to buy drugs, all of a sudden becomes a mark for all kinds of other just dangerous things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
And
like,
that's I mean, on one hand, I see the appeal. It's like, hey, I'm going overseas where the laws and the social norms are different, so I want to enjoy that. And then, but still, I'm like, yeah, but there are some lines that I just don't want to cross.
yeah.
Like,
Mama said nothing good happens after 1 a.m. And that's the truth.
well, okay, yeah, I'll be with you on that. Um,
Yeah.
On that note, though, the reason that I'm drinking a cup of coffee right now and I'm finishing my second or third cup is I was trying to readjust my sleep schedule because of travel and the time zone shift, etc. My sleep schedule has been messed up, and by the time like 7:30 has rolled around, I have been dead tired
Yeah.
and falling asleep and then waking up at like 3 a.m. So I'm hoping to kickstart my whatever and keep myself awake a little bit longer this on this Friday night. So
Well, and
yeah,
we kind of had the
biohacking.
same a similar phenomenon with the when we were in Hawaii, because
Mm-hmm.
we went out there because we were only there for a week. So if you're only there for a week, it's not worth, adjusting your bio clock. It's just
Yeah, but isn't Hawaii, isn't that off by like 11 hours or something?
it's it's either five, I think it's 5 hours.
No,
Yeah,
it's more than that. It can't be
no,
just
it's
5
actually
hours off.
it's
Really?
not. Yeah, I'll have to let's put a pin in that.
Well, I
I'm
think that's something that we can find out pretty quickly.
I'm pretty yeah,
So,
we can Google that, but I'm pretty sure that it's 5 hours, because we would, our days would go long. We were ready to go to bed every night at like 8 o'clock because it was, now 1 o'clock in the morning at our home time. So
mhm.
like, and we did. We went to bed early and got up early. And it seemed like a lot of the mainlanders did the same thing. Everybody was up early, out doing things, and then they go to bed early because the luau
Yep.
finished up at like right at 9 p.m. and it was out.
Okay. And sleep.
Yeah.
No, you know what? You appear to be correct. As of right now, Hawaii is only 4 hours behind us, and we're both right now on a rare occasion. You and I are both on Central Time right now.
Hmm.
So no, I stand corrected. We can pull that pin out. Hawaii is indeed 4 hours behind Central Time, or 5 hours behind me in the Eastern Time.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Central's -6 and Hawaii is -10.
All right then. There you
Cool.
go.
So that one, yeah.
Real time putting a pin in that.
Well, so we had talked about, well, you have a topic here that says compromising on my principles. What does that mean?
Well, yeah, as we were talking about drugs and stuff just a minute ago,
Yeah.
there, I frequently, and when it comes to big tech, will come across companies that I just despise, and I want to have as little to do with them as possible. Facebook Meta is one of them.
Hmm.
Uber is another.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck using both of them down here because
Oh.
everybody, and I mean everybody, uses WhatsApp down here.
Hmm.
And back to my phone, I will say this: I have to tell my friends every time I talk about this. When a friend will ask, "Are you on WhatsApp?" I'll say, "No, I don't like Facebook." They say, "No, I mean WhatsApp." I'm like, "Yeah, it's owned
It's a
by Meta.
Facebook.
It's the same company. They bought it." And people who even some of my friends who are like high and righteous about like, "Oh, I don't have Facebook." I'm like, "Yeah, but you kind of do."
Yeah. 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 I have
um
WhatsApp too because my friends in Mexico, that's what they use.
that's what they use, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I hate it, but you know what, I had to use it to call for a driver I had to use it to book tours. And I'm like, oh, fine. So while I'm here, I'll use it. I'll delete it as soon as I get back at home,
Mm-hmm.
But I also found myself having to sign up with Uber because there's no Lyft down here.
Oh, that is
And
sad.
yeah, so there's no Lyft. I mean, there are taxis, so I could call for a taxi, but therefore I would still have to use WhatsApp, right? Because I have to find a taxi and get some numbers and start calling old school that way. And I'm like, wow, that's like work. That's like having to pick up a
I,
phone. I suppose I could just text them via WhatsApp, right? But like, what's it going to cost? When will the guy be here? I can't see my driver, etc. I'm like, I was thinking about this on my run back from the ATM that I went to. Uber definitely changed the game, right? I think they did some good. They brought a good product to the masses with with their offerings, right? The taxi system was broken, it was horrible, and they did fix that. And then they went off the rails evil, with
mm-hmm.
like, they're like, all right, we're putting all the taxi companies out of business and now we're jacking up our rates. I mean, Uber costs and Lyft too. Lyft is right there behind them back in the Boston area. It is anything but cheap, right? Now down here, I was about 3 kilometers, about a mile and a half away from my hotel. It would have cost me about $3 or $4 to have an Uber pick me up and drive me back to my hotel.
Yeah.
Well worth it. I will happily pay $3 or $4, right? But like the shortest ride in the Boston area is probably like $10 or so now, and that's like without a tip.
Mm-hmm.
So they've jacked up the rates, and okay, well, there you go. This is a market economy. That's what you get, right? But I was thinking about that and like, okay, well, I hate Uber. I hate them as a company. Their founder, Travis Kalanick, is evil. May he burn in that eternal place where he deserves to, et cetera, et cetera. But I have really little other choice down here. And it's like, okay, well, how much do I really hate them as a company and how much is it worth my inconveniencing? And at a time, I have to finally say, okay, I'm just like cutting off my nose to spite my face kind of thing. I'm like, all right, I'll suck it up and I'll use Uber.
Mm-hmm.
So I went this afternoon to the nearest ATM, which again was like a mile and a half, a little over, almost 2 miles away, about 3 kilometers away from here. And I walked there and it was fine, but it was like in the 80s and sunny, and I was hot and sweaty. And so on the way back, I stopped, really close to where the end of my route. I stopped at a little coffee shop, sat there, ate some snacks, and had a cup of coffee. Okay, great. And I said, you know what? I'll just call an Uber. Let's just do this. And especially one of the reasons that I need to do this is because for the next 2 weeks, there's another part of my travel plans that changed. I had to renew my driver's license, and we talked about this. You and I talked about this after recording last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a driver's license. I have one now with me that expires in 11 days or 12 days. And my new one has still not shown up in the mail back at home. So most places likely won't rent a car to me. And if I was to get pulled over down here by the cops with an expired driver's license, who knows? You're in a
Oh,
foreign country. Who knows what kind of fun they could have at my expense, you
yeah.
know?
Welcome
So,
to our
like,
prison system.
yeah, exactly.
It's
So,
expired driver's license.
yeah, if it's all the same to you, I don't want to play that game. Thank you very much. So yes, I am compromising my principles and sucking up my hatred for Uber, which they have only redoubled as of my experience with them today. Why? Because I need to verify my phone number with Uber. So what do? I have them send me a text message to
Mm-hmm.
verify my cell phone. They send me a 4-digit code. I punch in the 4-digit code. Now, this is the part in the show where you think that my connection just dropped again.
You're back.
No, I didn't go anywhere. I'm
Oh,
just pausing to
oh,
demonstrate
okay.
what happens after I
I
punch
was
in
like,
that 4-digit
what
code.
happened at the 4-digit pin?
Nothing happens when you enter the 4-digit code. So I have them send it to me again. Still nothing happens. Again and again and again. I even tried 3 different phone numbers. Because I have like a Google Voice account, I have a Ring Central account. I'm trying all these things. I'm getting the freaking code every time, but nothing's happening. And I'm like, and at this point, I am, literally miles away from my hotel wanting a ride, and I can't get one. So I paid for the, well, I didn't pay. I signed up for the uh, Uber Premium or whatever it is, and just said, like it's a 30-day trial of whatever, and it's supposed to give me priority support. So that means in about an hour or two, some chatbot gets back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh yeah. And now of course they responded in Spanish. So now I have to open, I took a screenshot of that and I put it into Google Translate so I can, check that out. Oh, that was another thing too. Apple Maps, useless down here. Apple, like everything is Android, everything is Google. So I've gone back to using Google Maps for now.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing. So it's like Google. Oh, and there's no Yelp. So Yelp is not a thing down here. It's all TripAdvisor or Google and Maps, Google reviews.
Okay.
So, these are all things I've used in the past, but things that I don't generally use on a daily basis now. So, so it's different. But hey, I'm on a different. I don't even remember is the subcontinent, Central America. If it's considered, I think it's considered part of North America, right? But it's
Yeah,
referred to as
you're still
Central
in North
America.
America.
Still in North America. Even though North America traditionally, I was taught is those 3 countries: U.S., Canada, Mexico. But whatever, it's different though. It's a different place, and so okay, that's what people do here. Fine,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'll do. So that's what I've been doing. So now I got to double check and see what Uber has sent me. So they said regarding the 4 digits, we have deactivated the 2-step verification. Please try to sign in again. Oh, okay, great. So thanks. Well, let's do this. Real-time feedback. Let's see what happens here. Let me try to sign up. And yeah, but now to do that, I have to actually how do I verify? I don't even know. You know what? I'm not even going to do this. I'm not going to, dear listener, I'm not going to subject to this crap. Because what's even worse is they even show my mobile phone number that I entered as verified.
Nice.
They show it in the app. It says verified, but when I try to book a ride, it's like you need to verify your phone. I'm like, dude. Anyway, so yeah, Uber, you suck. I hate you.
Oh, so yeah. So I mean, like I said, I use Facebook, I use WhatsApp, but it's just it's necessary. That's all.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Like, yeah, it's sometimes you just don't have a choice. And again, we've talked a number of times about like the big 5 tech companies that you can't be on the internet without some form of interaction with Meta, Google, Meta, Google, Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft. Between
Yeah.
those 5 companies, you are pretty much guaranteed to have some interaction with them, even if you don't know it. And it's an interesting task to sometimes try to get around them, and then it becomes not so much fun anymore, and I end up compromising my principles.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I just end up, in typical American form. It's like I need to do what I need to do, and I'm just gonna use this platform because I have to.
But that's most people though. I mean, that's what we do, right? We end up we'll try something for a time, and then we get far enough and we're like, I'm good, I'm done. I mean, this is the same reason that people will try to bypass security controls at work. Why? Well, I need to do my job, right? I don't care. Like, I'm trying to get the job done. I'm trying to get whatever. And this is in my way. And right now, my hatred for Uber is in my way. So there you go. And I think it's hilarious. Even now, they've said, oh, we've disabled your two-factor authentication. I did try to just book a simple Uber ride right now, and it still says, oh yeah, you need to verify your phone number. I'm like, my thing shows
verified.
my phone number as verified and also says that I need to verify my account. I don't understand.
So I said,
So, yeah.
so you asked if I was getting a new MacBook. I am
Yeah.
I want to, but I have no reason that I really need to. I mean, I'm back in
Okay.
whatever it was when, a year or so ago when you were not buying any new technology. Like, well, I don't need another Air. Because I've got some travel coming up in 2023 and I
Yep.
need an ultra portable laptop. I have a Dell
Right.
XPS 13 that
Yep.
had a bad battery. I replaced the bad battery. Now it works fine with a limited capacity, but I'm like, I just need to keep using that because I don't need to spend $2,000 on an ultra portable laptop when I have
Right.
one that I own.
Right.
It won't do.
That's the thing. I mean, is it actually doing the job, right? And we talked about this a lot more, back when we first met, what, 10 plus years ago now.
Yeah.
About like telling our customers, look, if you're using, I wrote a blog post where I broke down how much is that old computer costing you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a computer that you are waiting on, if it's causing you to wait, you are losing productivity. That means you are losing time, and for most people that means you are losing money.
Mm-hmm.
But if an old computer is not slowing you down, then it doesn't make sense to buy a new one. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want, not need, I want
Yes.
a new MacBook Air. I
Yep.
actually want, when I was comparing them, the MacBook Pro is like zero point 0.3 pounds heavier than a MacBook Air, and
Yep.
it gives like 2 more hours of battery time, which
Yep.
both of those things are negligible. But
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I want a MacBook Pro. I want the new one, but I'm not gonna do it. I want to, but I'm not gonna because I don't have a need. I'm gonna travel with this 13-inch, and I'm gonna have my iPad, and I'm gonna have my iPhone.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, why I'm perfectly, again, I can't tell you, man, I can't say enough about my MacBook Air.
Hmm.
I'm really happy with it. We
But
were
you
saying
needed
on,
one. You had that great big
yeah.
HP.
Oh yeah.
It was time.
Oh, dude, there is no way I would be lugging that monstrosity down here on vacation. Are you insane? No freaking way.
Yeah.
So I am totally about the ultra portables, and I'm pretty sure I don't really need one, but I'm pretty sure when I get back, I'm going to buy myself an ultra, a high res external display.
Yeah.
Just because the one that I got a couple years ago, it's a widescreen, it's an ultra wide, but it's not an ultra high res. And it's just really disappointing to have this thing literally as long and wide as my desktop. Um, but the vertical resolution is like a standard, like standard 28-inch or 24-inch desktop monitor. And it's like,
Hmm.
I gotta scroll up and down so much. So What was I was just hearing? There were I read a couple of reviews on Consumer Reports, or no, Wired magazine just sent out some reviews on some new high def monitors. But apparently, I was listening on to the Accidental Tech podcast. They said, I think Samsung just announced a new flat panel display, which is supposed to, give Apple for money. So, I'm not in a huge rush right now, but I can see myself, going for something new when I get home, because just that display, it bothers me.
Yeah.
So again, this is like, is it going to make my life better? Is it going to bring me joy having that display? Like
Is it going to
the
make you money? Yeah.
is it going to make me money? Right. Is it, those are the reasons to get these things, right? And, this MacBook Air, it's a pleasure to use, or at the very least, on most days, it is not infuriating to use, which I can't say about that brick of an HP that I have.
Yeah. Well, so friends of ours, they have a house in Alabama, and we like to go there once a year. It's called the Fish House. But when I'm at the Fish House with my MacBook Pro and it's got the 16-inch monitor, it's a complete desktop tote with me. I can work from that computer. If I had the Air and I had to like fully work for a day, I don't know that I would like it without an external monitor, which I do
Oh,
have.
yeah. I totally can. I'm totally cool working on a desktop. There's a lot more alt tabbing or command tabbing between windows and stuff. Um, but I definitely I'm totally cool on a small screen.
Yeah. My problem on the small screen is on my email is the biggest collaboration point for me, because my group chats are all there, and then my tasks are all there. And if I don't have that big enough screen, all my stuff gets so small that I can't read it, can't do it as easily. So, but like I said, I've got an external screen for that.
Hmm. There you go.
All
Cool.
right. So next time we talk,
Well,
where will you
on
be?
that note, I did want to give one little fitness update, though. I
Yeah, go
was
for it.
very happy the gym twice, and it's been
Oh, a pause.
yeah.
There you go. And we're back.
And we're back. Yes. So yeah, hotel internet, the wonders of it. Yeah, next time we record, I will still be in Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note,
Different
Adam,
city?
why don't different city? Yes, I'll be in Yaco,
Yako.
or
All right.
Jacko if you prefer. But Adam, on that note, why don't I take us out? So since you brought us in, if you want to find us, we are at blurringthelinespodcast.com. That's the best way to find us. You can leave us feedback there. You can find Adam at sublimecomp.com. You can also find him at rrlavenderfarm.com. You can find me at Nikolaidis.com, yogawithpeter.com, or paradigmcc.com. And I'm not going to even talk about all of our online socials, because you can find us all there. So on that
Mm-hmm.
note, Adam, why don't you go ahead and hit the big red button?
I can't find it.